In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your rear driver's side window regulator. However, this process also applies to the passenger side rear door on this Toyota Corolla. So let's get started. I like to start at the inner door handle. There's a little cap that we need to remove over here. Once you pop that off, it'll expose a Phillips head screw. So grab your screwdriver and remove it. Now I'm going to use a plastic trim tool and remove this switch panel. I don't want to use anything metal because I don't want to damage the door panel. Pop it up at the front and then pry it up, and the back has to come out last because it has this tab here that hooks underneath the armrest. Once you flip this over, you can just press on the tab and disconnect the window switch. Set the switch aside and make sure you push this wire through. And now with the same tool, I'm going to pry up on this armrest slash grab handle. This should also pop out of its spot here. Set this aside, and this will expose the two main anchor bolts for the door, which are also Phillips head. So grab your screwdriver and remove both of them. At this point, you're going to want to grab the door panel at the bottom here, pry it out. Sometimes it takes quite a bit of force to do so. Don't be afraid to give it a quick yank. That'll break it free. Once it's all broken free, you can lift it up and it'll slide off of the windowsill here. And there's your door panel. Set it aside. Now we actually have to peel off this vapor barrier, and to do so, you just want to grab it and take the peel it off of this butyl tape here. However, make sure you wear some gloves and don't get it on your clothing because this is not going to be very easy to get off. It's extremely sticky, and you just want to go around. You don't have to peel off the top, but I want to peel off the bottom and flip it up because we'll need access in this area as well as here for the bolts that bolt on the regulator. So kind of like this, and try not to stick it to anything else that you would want this butyl tape to get stuck on. With this peeled out of the way, I'm going to actually roll the window down. So I plugged in my switch, turned the ignition on. This allows me to flip this over, make sure the butyl tape doesn't get on the door. But now we can access everything down here. With the window rolled all the way down, turn off the ignition, remove your window switch again. And since we need more access here, let's remove this panel here with the 3 Phillips head screws. This is the area where the regulator will come out through, so we need this wide open. Over here, let's unplug the regulator on this side right here. It's got a little push tab. Push it in, pull the connector out, set it aside. And now let's unbolt the 4 bolts that hold this regulator on the door. However, I'm not going to take this one all the way out because if you'll notice right here, it's slotted. So what I'm going to do is just loosen it up, and then the bolt can slide up and through the door, and that's going to help me not drop this regulator straight down as soon as it's unbolted. And then we'll do the same thing but in reverse to reinstall, just because it'll make things easier. However, one thing I want to note is that you want to be very careful because this regulator doesn't bolt onto the window like others normally do. It actually slides onto this track that's built into the window. So what I'm trying to say here is as soon as we unbolt this, the window will still be connected. And you don't want to let this fall down because the glass could break. You don't want to damage anything. So what we want to do is basically turn this regulator and hold the glass at the same time, slide this out of this rail, then push the glass up, secure it, and of course I'll run you through that procedure, but I just wanted to note this before I get started so that you know what's going on here. Typically, you would disconnect the glass before doing this, but in this case, this is how it's designed here, so we can't disconnect the glass. We have to do it all at once. So take your 10mm socket. I'm going to leave this bolt for last, like I said. There we go. Push this up. Get the regulator through the door. Slide it inward that way. There we go. Now you can slide the window up. Okay. The regulator fell in the door. That's okay. I'm just going to hold on to the window for now as I remove this one. There we go. There's the regulator with the motor. If you don't have your new one nearby, which I do, but if you don't, you can slowly let the window down and it should stop right about here. But of course, don't just let it drop down. Be gentle with it. But again, I had this ready to go. This roller right here is what's gonna slide into that track when the time comes, so pay attention to it. And then on the front side, I'm gonna take the bolt that secured the regulator on and the bolt that we didn't actually take out. I'm gonna thread it in a couple threads. That way, as soon as this goes into the door, I can hook it in and let go of it and it'll stay secured in there. So if you have to let go of your window, at this point, you'd wanna bring it back up, slide the regulator with the motor in. Okay, slide the regulator into its mounting point over here, slowly bring the glass down. I'm gonna bring this connector through the door panel at this point. That way it's out of the way. Slowly bring the glass down. If you slide it down far enough, bring the window where it needs to be until the two line up and that roller goes into the track. And there we go. Now you can move it around to make sure that it works as it should, which it does. So all we have to do now is just line up the bolt holes. Bring this up. Oops, make sure this doesn't happen. It can easily pop out over here. There we go. If I just spin it around, the bolt holes line up here, here, and here. This one's already in. So start your bolts in. Once you start the second one in, these two will stay in place. Now that everything is positioned properly, let's tighten these all up. This regulator has a wire that's a little longer than the original, so make sure you tuck it out of the way on this side of the door, not on the inside where it could get caught in the window. So I'm gonna run it through here, loop it around, bring it back down. This will just make sure it's secured, and let's plug it in, just like that. Put the vapor barrier back down. It's important that you do this because this actually seals up the door, makes sure that no water or moisture, or not a lot of it at least, can make its way inside of the car through the door panel. And before you stick it down here at the bottom, let's put this shield back. Snug it up. These just thread into plastic, so make sure you don't over tighten them. Once they bottom out, just leave it right there. Okay, finish putting the vapor barrier back down. Try to stick it as much as you can. If it doesn't stick anymore at all, then use some tape or whatever you have. Maybe you have some butyl tape laying around, but try to get it as close to factory as possible. Now, if you wanted to, you could plug in your switch and give the window a try. Perfect. Now you can take your door panel, bring it over, line it up with the top of the door here where the windowsill is. Tap it down, make sure this wire comes through for your switch. And once the rest of it lines up, you can look through the side of it. You'll see all the push clips. Just tap it in. Just make sure it actually lines up, otherwise you're gonna break the little clips. Now we have to put back the two anchor screws for the door panel. So let's thread them back in. And these also get screwed into plastic, so once they get snug, just leave it there. Otherwise you'll strip out the plastic insert and they won't actually get tight anymore, and then your door panel will not be secure. Now with this done, let's put back the armrest. It has some clips that it needs to line up with. Tap it down, grab the wire for the window switch, plug it back in again. Slide these two tabs underneath the armrest first, and then line up the front clip. Tap that down. And lastly, the screw up by the door handle. Thread that one back in. Make it snug. Cap it off. And there you go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.